Jinhee Kim and Suhyun Lee, who's going to talk about their work with the multilingual font family design for digital screens. And we are so happy that they come from Sandoll and that are our diamond sponsors. So thank you. Welcome.
Hello everyone, we are type designer at Sandoll, Suhyun Lee.
And Jinhee Kim. Nice to meet you.
We would like to talk about the SD Minburi project that we are currently working on at Sandoll. In this session, the first part, we are going to talk about the background of SD Minburi and the workshop with UI/UX designers. And the second part, how we designed SD Minburi and the difficulties of multilingual type design. The last, we will show the web specimen. First of all, let's talk about the background of SD Minburi. We think that a lot of people might be wondering about the name. Min is nothing decorate or added, and buri is speak of a bird in Korean. When the top of a stroke in a Hangul font is designed as a protruding shape, we call it buri because the shape looks like a bird's beak. We can say that this design is close to the serif in Latin. When there is nothing on the top of a stroke, we call it minburi, which means without buri. Now you can guess that we are going to talk about the sans serif category. Now, the key concept of the project. SD Minburi is designed for convenience use in the UI/UX design. It is a multilingual font that supports Latin, Korean, Japanese, and Chinese, and also a variable font that can be adjusted in each script. Recently, many Korean UI/UX designers have been revising open source fonts to suit their own needs. And these fonts are very popular among UI/UX designers. For example, they changed the size between scripts or revised some glyphs, such as Latin, punctuation, and numbers. Moreover, they add new symbols for UI/UX design. However, we've never seen any case of changing all the characters, especially CJK. It's because if you try to modify CJK, you have to adjust over 30,000 glyphs. We are curious why they wanted to create fonts themselves. To learn font editors, even though they are not type designer, so we wanted to help them if there is anything Sandoll can do as a font foundry. To make a typeface for UI/UX design, we did 2 workshops with UI/UX designers. And the topic of the first workshop was what kinds of typeface UI/UX designers want. They say we need fonts that can be used in various UI/UX design. We wanted the font that is neutral, not inclined to any side. So we asked UI/UX designers to collect the images of what is neutral design. These are the images from them. Can you see the similarities? The images are organized, fit to frame, and simple. We applied the keyword from the workshop to the type design. The straight stroke, squarish shape, and not separated. We will talk about this in detail later. Next, we did the second workshop. It is about what is the inconvenience of using font in UI/UX design. The first issue was when you make buttons, it is hard to put the text in the center of the vertical matrix like in this picture. This problem usually happens when you use Latin letters in Hangul font. So you have to adjust the position to make the upper and lower space look the same. Then why this problem happened? The reason is many Hangul fonts have a visual flow line in the upper part. What is a visual flow line? May give you a headache. Let me explain. The visual flow line in Hangul is a virtual line that looks connected between characters. And it is formed based on the height of the characters without a final consonant, such as 초 and 고. For example, when the 초 and 고 are in the upper part, then a visual flow line follows them. Or when they are in the middle part, then visual flow line will be in the middle part. These days, many Hangul fonts are usually designed with a visual flow line in the upper part to give a more solid and organized look. Then, where should you draw the Latin letters in a Hangul font? You should draw Latin along with the Hangul, 초, and 고, then they will be located in the upper part. To sum up, the Latin letters of many Hangul fonts are not positioned in the middle of the vertical matrix. Therefore, UI/UX designers have to adjust the position of Latin when making buttons. The second issue was they were unhappy with the size between scripts. They say that Latin and numbers looked small compared to Hangul. Let's look at example. What do you think of the size between them? Latin and numbers look small compared to Hangul, don't they? Then what about this? Maybe it looks different from the previous one. We can see that the size relationship between scripts changes depending on how you set the font size or text length. The reason is when we see at large size, we usually focus on the outline of the characters. On the other hand, when we see at small size, we usually focus on the size of the counter. Also, it can change depending on each person's perspective or environment. So, we thought it would be helpful that the size of each script could be adjusted by the user.
Hi, I'm Jinhee Kim. I'm gonna talk about how we design SD Minburi. Before starting, I'm gonna explain some terms I use. The term 한자 contains Chinese kanji, Japanese kanji, and Korean hanja. So hanja refers to the ideographic character in this presentation. Hangul refers to the Korean character, and kana refers to the Japanese character not included kanji. In the previous part, we talked about insights we gained from UI/UX workshops. After that, we started drawing Hangul first, and then we designed the other scripts. To design the font, we considered three things in general. First, counter, second, a visual flow line, and third, stroke. First, counter. The counter means space of the body part surrounded by strokes. When the counters become large, like the right one, it looks solid and strong. On the other hand, when the counters become small, like the left one, it looks traditional and lyrical. So, ATypI has slightly wider than the other fonts. We want to make the ATypI look solid, and it will show well the fit-to-frame keyword. Additionally, ATypI provides an option for user to adjust the counter with variable axis to enhance usability in UI/UX design. Next, the counter of Hanja and Kana are a bit larger and wider than the other fonts. And Latin is the most commonly used script with Hangul, so we had to think about the typesetting first. The size relationship between Hangul and Latin, as I mentioned earlier, is a controversial issue in Korea. So, UI/UX designers are struggling with alignment between these two scripts. So, we increased the overall scale and x-size of Latin. The ascender and descender are shortened so that they don't stick out too far from Hangul. But there are more things we have to consider. Second, considering convenient uses in the UI/UX design environment, we decide that the Latin letters of ATypI should be in the middle, not in the upper part of the vertical matrix. Hangul also has a visual flow line in the middle. Thirdly, the strokes. For the keyword straight stroke, we used clean and straight line rather than curves. The strokes such as 기역, 시옷, 지읒, and connecting horizontal line are often designed with the curved line in the other Hangul fonts, but we made this part as simple and straight as possible. And for the Latin strokes T, F, J, and Hanja, Kana is drawn with straightened strokes. Next, for the keyword squarish, strokes are close to horizontal and vertical lines. For example, horizontal lines are emphasized in iung, hiut, and Latin, Hanja, and Kana also design squarish. Finally, for the keyword not separated, subtle breaks between strokes are connected and form are drawn as simple as possible. 쌍시옷 are drawn with connected strokes, and the first consonant and vowel are connected in 다, 리, 염. 쌍비읍, 피읍, 쌍디귿 are designed using stroke in the simplest way. Originally, these glyphs are often designed with separated structure like this. And Hanja, Kana, dots and stroke are connected, and some shapes are eliminated like the leg in these glyphs. We had some issues designing multiple scripts together. First of all, ATypI's Hangul was designed larger than the other fonts. And in general, Hanja is slightly larger than the Hangul. So it was difficult to make the letterface size of the Hanja even more bigger than normal, and that made us hard to put the enormous Hanja of SD Mimbri in the body frame. And the counters of Hanja are also hard to make bigger because they are already big and have so many strokes. So we try to design this to harmonize Hanja and Hangul. And when we start Latin design, we thought that theoretically Latin should be only increase the size of excite because the Hangul axis only adjusts the counter, not letterface size. But when we designed it, Latin seems to look too small compared to Hangul. For this reason, we think that it should be increased not only excite, but also the sizing in Latin. Kana is also the same Latin. In order to fit with an Hanja that have a large counter, we made large the letterface size of Kana, not only adjusting the counter size. Next, we are introduce our web specimen about SD Mimbri design. You can see the design of CJK and Latin at the top, as the regular weight is the most used in the UI/UX environment, so this part is written based on the regular weight. The script is changed by clicking on the K and CJL buttons. You can see the design concept with these images. When you're scrolling down, you will see the text box below. You can check the design detail of the font by changing the size. And in the bottom, you can see how the SD Mimbri family is planned. This font consists of 2 styles and 4 variable axes. You can check the curve style by clicking this button. The curve style is added for a softer look than the basic version. And there are 4 variable axes. First, the weight axis. Second, a Latin size axis. Third, the Hangul counter size axis. Hangul counter size axis. Yes. And fourth, the geographic counter size and the Kana letterface size axis. You can see how it changes with each axis by adjusting the variable axis. We made the variable axis to adjust the size of the counter or letterface size of each script separately, thinking that some people might want different design for each script. And you can check out these contents using this QR code. And also, you can check out on this specimen on your seat in 11 pages. We are still working on the development of SD Mimbri. We plan to release Korean and Japanese next year and Chinese after that. We will continue to gather the convenient use in UI/UX environment for development and improve the font. Therefore, if you have any suggestion for this project, please contact us via the address below. Finally, we have received valuable help and advice from many people on this project. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Does this work? Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for your presentation. It was very interesting. I'm very impressed with all the works that you do with such a big fonts. So thank you. Thank you again. And thank you, Sandoll,